Welcome back to another episode of Lunchbreak Chronicles Podcast. I am your host, Aisha Morgan, and I'm so excited that you guys stopped back by to join us for your lunch break. Yes, we are here for part two of the topic that we were discussing, boundaries and rest. If you did not catch our last episode, go back and take a peek, listen to it, watch it, right? We focused on boundaries and went over some key signs to recognize whether or not you may need boundaries in your life, in your relationships, right? But today we're going to focus on rest. And the scripture that we're going to reference is Matthew 11 and 28. And it says, "Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." So in the previous episode, we talked about how important it was for us to bring our burdens to the Most High Yahuwah, right? To bring our burdens to Hamashiach so that he can in turn give us rest. Right? It's a promise. If you bring your burdens to me, if you bring all that heaviness to me, if you bring all that weariness to me, I will give you rest, right? But what I learned, what I find out, even in my practice, and let's just be real about it, there's been times in my own life where I just don't know how to rest. I encounter people that really don't know how to rest. It's funny that when I'm in a session and I'm working with someone and I say, "Hey, how was your weekend? Did you rest?" And the first thing they begin to tell me is how much sleep they got or not, right? And how many of you know that you can be asleep and still don't rest? Right? You can be asleep and still not rested, right? Yeah, I am not a scientist or a science major. I didn't even like science in school, right? It was too much for me. But one thing I do remember is an object is at rest when it what? When it ceases to be in motion. And so many of us are moving constantly. We're doing, pouring, giving, moving, that we don't allow ourselves the opportunity to experience the rest that the Most High wants to give us. One of the common symptoms of anxiety conditions are racing thoughts or overthinking, right? And then with those conditions, and persons that may struggle with those conditions have difficulty with what they describe shutting their mind off, right? Their mind just kind of goes and goes and goes. Even at night when they go to lay down to go to sleep, they can't experience rest because their mind is going a million miles a minute, thinking about things over and over, ching, 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 ching. Yeah. And I'm a firm believer that where the mind is, the body will follow. So if your mind is not at rest, it's quite difficult to achieve physical rest and or mental or emotional rest, right? Yeah, but that's real heavy. That's real heavy. So today, what I want to focus this episode on is just learning about some different types of rest, right? And as you listen to these, find the one that you feel is most important for you. There are quite a bit of them. We're not going to go too deep into all of them, but I encourage, as you listen to these forms of rest, find one that you want to focus on for the following week and see if that improves your ability to rest, right? So I'm about being practical and giving you action steps and takeaways and homework assignments. I do that in my therapy practice, but for here, right? For here, what we want you to be able to do is achieve rest, right? Achieve rest. So we're going to go through some different forms of rest, and what I want you to do is to pray over these and ask the Most High to give you guidance, to give you wisdom as to how to achieve the rest that He desires you to have and that you know you need, right? Okay, here goes. So the first rest is physical rest, right? Physical rest. Now, physical sleep, having a good quality of sleep is a huge part of physical rest, but it doesn't necessarily require you to be asleep to have physical rest, right? Doing things that will cause your body to feel relaxed are important. I'm a firm believer in having wind down routines that help you to tell your body, hey, we're getting ready to go to bed. Start winding down. You know, there are a lot of different things that you could do to help you to wind down or to achieve relaxation and achieve physical rest, right? There are things that you can do to relax your muscles and to reduce tension in your muscles, like exercising or stretching or, my favorite, massages or spas and things like that. So there are quite a number of things that you can do. Sometimes it's just, you may be taking a walk, or you may even just take a nap. Even if you're not fully taking a long, sleeping for long periods of time, if you just take a nap, that may be an opportunity for you to physically rest. All right, so physical rest. The first one is mental rest. As I mentioned before, your mind, your brain is constantly going, constantly moving all throughout the day. Your mind is filled with all of this activity and energy, right? You're thinking about things, you're planning things, you're making decisions, you're looking at things, you're focusing on things. And there are times we need to give our minds a break. We need to give our minds a break. I know here in my practice, I do a lot of work with focusing on your thoughts. And sometimes it's hard for my clients. I know it is, because the last thing you want to think about is what you're thinking about, right? And so I encourage people to oftentimes take mental breaks, to give themselves mental breaks, to make sure that you have breaks in your workday if you're working, consistently over periods of times, right? To engage in different things, not just work all the time, but to give your mind something funny to focus on, right? Give your mind something pleasurable to focus on. So you may want to engage in some hobbies or engage in things that are considered just kind of mindless, right? like binge watching something, your favorite shows on TV, right? All these things can be done to reduce mental fatigue and mental exhaustion, right? Okay. All right. So that one was mental rest. The next one is emotional rest, right? And one of the things that I like about emotional rest is we spend so much time talking about our emotions, dealing with our emotions, confronting our emotions, verbalizing our emotions. I mean, especially in these times where mental health is so important, right? But there are also times where we really need to allow ourselves to just feel. I talk to people all day long about, how they want to avoid certain emotions, but I'm a huge fan of no, don't avoid it. Sit in it, feel it, express it. So then you can learn how to manage it, right? Then we can learn how to manage it. And if you have difficulty with being able to do so, seek support in doing that. A lot of people are carrying so many emotions, and they feel like they're carrying them by themselves, but you don't have to. You don't have to. Seek the support that you know that you need to help you through that, right? And in doing so, that can help you to have, better relationships. It can help you to be able to manage and regulate your emotions a whole lot better the more that you're able to do that, right? No, don't just stuff your emotions. Don't just keep them on the inside. Sit in them. Allow yourself to feel them. Express it. Verbalize it so that you can get past it. Okay? Emotional rest. All right, this one, sensory rest. This one was new for me, and I literally have had to practice this every now and then. Sometimes I get sensory overload, right? In the days of social media and all of this, productivity and technology and all of this stimulation, it can be overwhelming at times, right? It can be overwhelming. You can encounter sensory overload, right? And for myself, I look at a computer a lot. I am recording episodes for you, so I'm looking at cameras a lot. I am around lights a lot. I'm on social media more these days, and sometimes it can be quite a bit. And so sensory rest, look at me. Sensory rest is when you give yourself permission to put all that down. I'm not going on social media. I'm not scrolling. I'm taking a break from my cell phone. I'm turning off my device, right? All in an effort to help to reduce the strain on my eyes, on my brain, on my ears, on my senses. So yeah, if y'all haven't taken a sensory rest in a while, I challenge you to do that. I challenge you to do that. I'm telling you, it's good for you. It's good for you. All right. That was sensory rest. The next one is creative rest. Creative rest is where you take time out to get in touch with your creativity. If you're a music lover, taking time to enjoy and embrace various forms of music, allowing yourself to rest. I said music, and I'm started with music because I'm a music lover, but there are different forms of creativity. There can be art, or it could be being out in nature. Whatever it is, taking that rest allows you to take time to become rejuvenated, right? Which can also help you in terms of dealing with certain emotions like depression or anxiety. The more rejuvenated you are, the more that you are increasing those activities that bring you joy and bring you pleasure, the less you are to feel anxious or nervous or frustrated or depressed, right? So creative rest, social rest, right? Social rest. This is huge. Whether you are an extrovert or an introvert or an introverted extrovert, wherever you fall, social rest sometimes can be quite important, right? I personally, I can be an extrovert when I need to be, but for the most part, I'm an introvert, right? I have to duck away. I have to pull away. And I don't know if that's being an introvert or if that's just being wise, right? When you're in the face of people all day long, when you have people around you all day long, or when your life is set up to where you may have a lot of social relationships, or having a lot of social interactions may be necessary for your lifestyle, and it's just how you roll, then sometimes it's important to be able to pull back. Pull back. Pull back from the crowd, right? Pull back from the crowd, distancing yourself, right? Sometime I heard somebody tell me last week, actually, they said, my social battery gets filled up really quickly, right? And when that happens, they have to pull back. They don't want to talk on the phone. They don't want to text. They don't want to be on social media. They just have to pull back. And that's what this form of rest leads to. It has a direct reflection on how well you, or can have a direct reflection on how well you look at relationships and how well you improve your outlook on life and your mood, right? So being able to pull away sometimes, it's okay. It's okay to be able to pull away sometimes. And I promise you, if you try that, it'll do wonders for your mood. It'll do wonders for your temperament, or it can. All right. Social rest, just my recommendation. Social rest. All right. And then the last one, but certainly not least, is spiritual rest, right? And that could be finding activities that connect you to the Most High. Finding activities or developing routines that enhance your spiritual well-being. For example, that can be things like prayer. It can be things like engaging in a Bible study, reading the Word, reading scriptures. It can be things like participating in a group or a community that is spirit-filled and spirit-led and that focuses on the Word. It can also be things like on your lunch break, stopping by Journey to Life Counseling and Community Services channel and checking out the latest episode of Lunchbreak Chronicles Podcast. Y'all knew I was gonna throw that in there, right? Right. But spiritual rest could be anything that you do that helps you to remain calm and have a renewed perspective on life, right? And I don't know for myself, but a better way to do that than making sure that I am plugged in and connected with my Father, right? Abba Yahuwah, right? And so what do y'all think? What do y'all think about these forms of rest, right? These are awesome. And listen, so the instructions, I think I'm in therapy, right? The recommendation is that you don't do all of these at once. Now, if you want to, you can, but just pick one. Pick one and try it. Which one of these would you say is most important for you? Or when you pray about, giving those burdens and giving that load to the Father so that you can achieve rest, which one of these is He speaking to you about, right? Which one of these forms of rest do you need in your life, right? Yeah. And so I thank you all for being here today. I thank you for joining in with us here on our channel. I thank you for coming back and checking out part 2. And I ask that you come back again. Do me a quick favor, like this video, share it with someone that you know. Leave us a comment in the bottom. Let us know which one of these forms of rest is resonating with you. Subscribe to our channel, you all. We want to get this podcast out there. We want it to be a blessing to as many people as possible. And you could be a part of that if you would subscribe to it, share it. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so that the next time we air our next episode next week, then you will be alerted as to when that is ready. So I thank you all so much. I love you with the love of Yahuwah. You all take care and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.